Live.
Hi guys, Ian here,
Matt as well.
and we have Albert
I'm the guest.
as our guest today. Welcome to Dream Talk, Albert.
I'm pumped to be here.
Nothing new for Albert. First time on Dream Talk, but he's no stranger to being in front of the camera, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, Albert. So we're going to talk about AAU this time.
Yep.
Obviously, Ian and I have talked about the Dream and the PBL season, and we're not done with the PBL season yet, but
Yeah.
AAU is officially here. So let's start with an overview. Why don't you give us the details? How long have you been doing this thing? What got you going in this direction? Got you to branch off from the PBL team and start doing some stuff with the kids? For anyone who hasn't heard of the program or isn't familiar with it, why don't you start with an overview?
Yeah, so the overview, with the Dream started in 2016 with TBT, the $2 million tournament. Started out as a tournament team, just seeing where it would go. Then turned into the PBL season, and that first season was pretty eye-opening with how many kids followed the team. And when I first moved back, it was a lot of baseball, a lot of football. Soccer was picking up, but I didn't really see basketball. And basketball was always my favorite sport. It was basketball and baseball, but basketball kind of had my heart. So I really wanted kids to get active again, because all I was getting was parents saying I can't get my kid away from the TV, can't get them away from video games. I got to get them more active. I was like, so let's try and do something about it. So basically, what it turned into was I had people looking for the opportunity. I know I'm at least aware of AAU. So after the second season is when I tried to put the AAU and travel basketball together. And, it's going into, I guess we can't count the COVID year. So this would technically be our third year doing the AAU youth basketball. But, we're already at about 170 kids or so pre-registered signed up. It's growing, and going to try and stay with the numbers.
That's incredible. I was going to ask how many kids you had signed up. That sounds like a really good number. Is that the highest you've had, or is that kind of comparable to what you've had in the past?
Yeah, so last year I believe we were right around 150. I know a bunch of people are ready to get out and active again. So, definitely, this is definitely the most. There's always been interest, but really trying to deliver as much as possible this time. I was still getting my feel for things. A lot of times what I do is I just start an idea and I figure it out as I go. So This is one that I'm starting to get the lay of the land, and I think this is going to be the best year yet.
No, that's great. You talked about the COVID year last year, didn't get to have the program. This year, we get to have it, but it's going to look a little bit different, I'm sure, than it has in the past. So what do you have on the horizon for the 2021 AAU season?
Yeah, so we were able to get a week of practice last year, and then everything shut down. So, obviously disappointing. So this year it's I want to make sure I have kids where they should be as far as evaluations and practices. So that's what we're doing now. We have our traveling teams basically going through baseline testing. I know you heard from Coach Rick at a previous Dream Talk. He likes kind of the baselines and the numbers, because you don't really know where the kid's going to end up unless you know where they start. You got to have a plan of attack for them. So that's what we want to do before Easter, is we're getting those practices down, practices, evaluations, so we kind of have a baseline. Then it's all about development from here on out. And we'll start after Easter, we'll start up some tournaments. So my plan for this year is definitely to stay, and we've done this in the past too, but stay kind of within a certain radius and within PA, because with restrictions and stuff like that, you don't really want to go too big or too far fast, especially with our program since we're still fairly young. So we're going to stay around the area. We've done the Pittsburghs. We're going to do State College. And then what I'd like to do is finish off with maybe one that's a little bit farther, so really kind of build up into it. And that's twofold. Obviously we got restrictions. Obviously we're still young and still getting the lay of the land. But, I just don't want to overwhelm these kids, because our area still is kind of new to basketball, especially with some of the kids don't have this travel ball experience. So I don't want to overwhelm them. So we're going to stay a little bit close. They'll get some good competition around Pittsburgh and those areas. And then we'll see how we fare against them, and then we'll go from there. So we're looking at about 4 or 5 tournaments, I think, this spring, summer. And then we'll also have our young development group, who's probably going to play more 3-on-3s. And we're just going to get a lot of people playing some basketball. And like I said before, it's all about development.
Honestly, for an area that that doesn't have too much basketball experience, the group was impressive.
Yeah,
from last night.
Yeah, and I got to give credit to some of the area coaches that are doing that, and I like to think that watching basketball at a higher level, like with our minor league season, helps out too. But there's some good coaches in the area. You got to give a shout out to Jude and Lisa Finkster, who do a great job with the young group, as well as some of those girls yesterday are on the DCC team. Got the area coaches who are working hard. I know Punksy is a very well coached team, and then also got to give a shout out to Brookville. They're playing in the Final Four tonight. I don't know if I can say that, but they're playing in the semifinals of their class 3A. I mean, it's just basketball is getting better. And, since the 5 years that I've been back, I've just seen a lot of growth. And, I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah. So you guys talked about last night. What did you guys get through in your first practice? Obviously, it's the first week of practice. You have another one tomorrow. So what did you get through? What are you going to get through? What's on the agenda for Wednesday?
Yeah, so it's very similar. So we had the 12U, 14U, and high school girls all at practice evaluations yesterday. And really it was kind of getting a warm up with dribbling, because I wanted to see where all the girls were as far as ball handling. Because if you don't have confidence in dribbling on the court, you're not going to be confident at all, because you're just constantly worried about a girl taking the basketball from you. So we wanted to start with that. Then we got into some free throws. With the older girls, we got into threes. We did some different spot shooting and just got some numbers down. A lot of it, was out of 10 or out of 20, just seeing where their shooting percentage was. And, there's a lot we got to work on with some of those percentages. But some of the girls are just getting back into basketball because they've been doing volleyball or something like that. So really was getting some baseline testing. It wasn't too overwhelming. The high school girls got a little dose of Samantha. I know you saw that yesterday, Ian. And Samantha showed some band work, but really some of these girls have said, I want to play at the college level, and they need that extra little bit of strength and endurance to take it to another level, because girls are getting faster, stronger, more athletic. We got to stay with that trend. So that's what we did with the girls. The boys are going to be very similar. We may have to adjust a little bit because our high school group is going to be pretty large, our high school boys group, but it's going to be very similar as far as evaluations go. Getting some dribbling down, want to make sure the kids got their ball handling down, and then the high school group, we're going to get a little tricky with it, but I want to make sure I know where these kids are at, and mainly with their shooting. Dribbling and shooting is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So with the AAU stuff, what's your background with AAU? Did you have an AAU experience when you were this age, or is the fact that you didn't potentially part of the reason why you've been anxious to develop this program?
Yeah, so my experience was we had teamed up early on when I was in probably 5th, 6th, 7th grade, maybe a little bit into 8th grade. So I started out with just my regular coaches would take our team and some of our players from DuBois Central, and we would travel around, and we did really well. We also added on a couple DuBois public kids, and we had some fun in tournaments, 3-on-3s. That was really, I had a lot of fun with it. And that's what I want some of these kids. That's one of my biggest things is I had fun with basketball. Basketball was a lot of fun coming up through. Then it started taking a little bit of turn where I really enjoyed baseball. And I started getting into travel baseball. So it wasn't travel basketball I got into in my early high school years. It was travel baseball. Well, right before that, I guess I should say, I started getting outside the area a little bit with some training sessions as well as some travel basketball. I was on a different team after DuBois Central. I went to Altoona Summit. So shout out to Tony Acree because he knows about the Summit. But out in Altoona, I started playing against some really high-level players in Altoona. And it opened my eyes. And that's what I want some of these kids to get to, is once you get outside of our area, and Altoona is obviously not even, the top of the top, but it's very good. You just see I have a lot more work to do. And that showed me, and that helped me, take my game to another level, is playing in Altoona. So then when I got into the travel baseball, I kind of went away from basketball just a little bit. But then heading into my junior, senior year, I started doing a couple showcases and things like that. I didn't really do the whole AAU circuit, though. I did some stuff, like I'm saying, in elementary, middle school. Then I went into travel baseball and kind of did that. And then my junior, senior year, I really didn't do much. But it showed me once I was doing the travel baseball, how much I really enjoyed basketball. It's like maybe I would have burned myself out with some of the travel stuff. So that's where when parents they come up to me and say, "Hey, my kid's doing this sport and this sport. Can we work?" I was like, "Yeah, we can definitely work around it," because I never want a kid to get burned out by a sport. Because I feel like I got kind of burned out by baseball. I still enjoyed it, but it was a little more burnout, and I always just like had more fun with basketball. So that's why it's still a part ingrained in me. Like that's kind of my experience with it. But like you don't have to do it. However, I think it's really helpful. I think I would have been, a little more advanced in basketball, but maybe I would have got myself burned out. So it all works out for the best.
Yeah, and you talk about the benefits of traveling, and that's something that we've heard in our player spotlights. We've done a couple of those with some former AAU players, and they've pointed to that as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any other overall thoughts on the program, what you're looking forward to, what parents and kids can look forward to, whether they're participating this year or maybe want to participate in the coming years?
Yeah. So what they're going to get, again, like I said, first and foremost, they got to have fun, because if the kids aren't having fun, they're not going to want to work hard. I really think there's like a direct correlation in that. Like if you're not having fun, you're not going to work hard, or it's just not going to be productive. So first, they definitely got to have fun. So once they're having fun, then we can get into the hard work and development. Because I never want like this sport to be like a drag. So, or, not having fun with it. You're then going to get into the hard work, because I think kids end up having having fun whenever they see that their hard work is paying off. Like if they go from, hey, I only made 2 or 3 free throws if you're at the young level, and they get up to 5 or 6, they're already like, wow, like I'm making a lot of progress. That helps push them forward as well. So you got to have fun, but then the hard work comes with it, because if you're only having fun, you're not going to really progress much. So you got to add in the hard work with it. So the kids are going to have that. So development's my biggest thing. A lot of times what these kids get in their school programs, and it's not a knock on any school programs, is just they're working their system. Like they're there, especially at the high school level, is you're trying to win the District 9 championship, especially in this area. And, sometimes it's not at the benefit of a kid. And I had mentioned this even at our info session was winning is a skill too. So I think it's important to learn how to win. However, when I'm seeing some of these scores at 25-23 is a final score, and kids are really probably only getting 3 or 4 shots a game, you're not really going to get development as far as your skills, individual skills. Now, again, like I said, if you're learning how to win the game and you're winning District 9 titles, those like memories are, they're invaluable. It's like you're going to take those with you forever. However, as far as you individually, this is where I really think you start taking those next steps is in this travel basketball season. And with us is you'll develop your individual skills. And Coach Nate even brought it up last night to our high school girls was he developed his 3-point shot more in the spring, summer, and especially during travel basketball, because during the high school season, he wasn't trusted with the 3-point shot, but he was able to expand his game a little bit in the summertime. And I fully agree with that one. So I think now's the time when you really figure out like how much better you can get as an individual player. And then you take that into your high school season the next year. So it's definitely going to be a really focused on development. And I've also told people they're going to get their most development in practice. You're going to get your eyes opened at the tournaments with the talent level that's there. However, really in those tournaments, you're not really going to get a ton of shots. Like if you get up 8 to 10 shots, that's a good game for some kids. But really, you got to practice that when you come back. And that's what we're going to build on is you can't just, rely on the tournaments to get you better. That's where you're going to get the eyes opened. You got to bring that back and say, hey, I need to add a floater. I need to work on my 3-point shot. I need to add on, sometimes it's tough to get a little quicker, but I got to work on my ball handling. Got to get a little tougher with the basketball. And then when you get into your next year's season, you're just going to blow people away. I think it goes a long way.
I think a huge theme for the AAU group is also just having access. Yeah, like we have the gym, three times a week.
Yeah.
And so having a hoop somewhere indoors and just, work your game. And I don't know if that as a player, you probably appreciate that. And especially, summer, that's the off season for basketball, and being able to stay active and still have competition during that time is I think valuable for a player development as well. So
that's a really good point, because I've had people come up and say, hey, I have baseball, I have this, I have tennis, track, whatever it is, they have it going on. But even if you're getting in 1 day a week of basketball now in the off season, that's going to help you out so much more into next season as compared to someone who completely says, I'm not doing anything this season. And there's a time and a place for rest, but some kids take the entire season off, and then someone who is working on their game, either if it's every other day, every day, like you need your time. You got to listen to your body. But for me, I'm with you, is if the access to the gym is a big one. So we're providing that there, as well as some like guided instruction from guys like, playing in college is a big deal. There aren't that many people that actually end up playing at the next level in our area. When I was in high school, I was told I wouldn't play higher than the D3 level. So I took it as a challenge, and I played at the D2 level for a year, and then, ended up being all conference at D3. It was really cool because I end up having a chip on my shoulder. I'm kind of a quiet guy at times, but if someone tells me I can't do something, a lot of times I try and prove them wrong for good or for better or for worse. But then, then upping it to then TBT and then the minor league basketball level, it's like I like to keep pushing my boundaries, and I like kids who do the same. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these kids who want to get better. I can always work with someone who wants to put in the work and get better. I don't care what level you're at right now. If you're going to put in work, I'll work with you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm excited to see what the AAU season brings. It'll be my first time being exposed to it. I didn't, play basketball growing up. This is my first year with the Dream, so I'm looking forward to seeing how things unfold. Do you guys, either of you, have any final thoughts here before we end this episode of Dream Talk?
I'll let you go, Ian. I can finish it off if you want, but
yeah, no, I mean, like we said earlier, we have practice evaluation for the boys tomorrow for the AAU team, and so we'll post a schedule early tomorrow. And I mean, I don't have too much else to add. I don't know if you have anything else.
No, I mean, I'm really excited. I know I've mentioned to you and countless other people, Matt, it's the youth basketball in our AAU is like where like we have no ceiling. Like the sky's the limit with that. My ultimate goal, I would love to have a kid who starts in our developmental group, work all the way up through and play on our dream team. Like that's probably like the ultimate dream within the dream. I mean, it's just seeing a kid, and I've seen many who come in their uniform and sit, courtside. I think it's going to be so cool to see a kid who would sit courtside, watch our games, is ending up on the court, especially when we have our own facility, which I'm speaking that out into existence as well. But it's just, the sky's just the limit with these youth kids. And, not only are they our fans, but like they're, the next generation who's going to carry on the basketball legacy and the dream. I mean, I'm so excited for the youth season. Like that's like the focus, because that's where it should be. Like we're just going to go so many different places with the youth, because that's just where we got to head as a group. So I'm really looking forward to also incorporating our PBL guys with our high school AAU guys. I know we didn't really touch on that just yet, but one thing I did notice, and it happened in our private runs, was the better players in D9 this year. A lot of them who are consistently coming to our pickup runs, going up against our PBL guys, like they were already ready to go up against tougher competition. The two guys who are playing for Brookville right now, who are in this, the semifinals, we're at our private runs all the time. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I know Brookville runs a really good program, but that kind of adds to it. Like it's all encompassing what you do. And I think it's going to be helpful to our PBL guys, because these high school guys are in very good shape. And I think it helps to play against the younger generation, because they have kind of the newer game. So I just think it's going to be overall just a win-win for everyone. So I couldn't be more excited for AAU youth basketball season. Just, getting the kids in practice. I know I was all smiles yesterday. It's a little draining to go until 9:30 at night, but it's worth it to see the kids smiling, working hard, and especially those girls yesterday, they worked hard. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the boys shape up tomorrow.
All right. Well, Albert, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Ian, good to see you as always. And we'll keep an eye out on the AAU season and the PBL season as we come down the home stretch. Thanks again, you guys. And thanks for everybody for tuning in to Dream Talk.
All right.
Thanks,
bye, guys.